Omega Strikers is a hockey game at its core, but just like hockey and all other major sports, there are different positions with their own responsibilities. Now you're probably saying, yeah, there's 3 players in Omega Strikers, 2 forwards and a goalie. So 2 people try to score and 1 goalie tries to defend the goal from the opposing team, right? Well, that is kind of true if we are speaking from a platform of general knowledge. It goes deeper than that. For example, a football quarterback is not only there to hand off the ball to the running back or throw the football to the receivers to try to get touchdowns, but they're also in control of shot calling, as well as identifying what type of defense the other team is running so that they can determine where they want to go with the ball. The positions in Omega Strikers are no different in how each one bears more responsibility than at the surface level. Right now in the meta, there is a decent amount of nuance to each position, so let's dive in and break them all down. As we all know, each team consists of 3 players. Let's focus on the forwards first. As one of the 2 forwards, of course you're sharing the common goal of trying to score goals. However, it does no good if both of these forwards are just running straight for the core because they have to hit it towards the enemy's goal. Instead, focus on positioning. Positioning is important, along with the degree of trust between the 2 forwards that they will be in the correct spots for a pass or to clear the core. Positioning for forwards depends on which character you choose, and whether you are choosing to mostly play on the enemy team's side of the field or if you're choosing to hover back and forth between the sides, along with the map. For example, in a map like Split, maybe one of you should be towards the top side and the other towards the bottom. If you're playing on a more open map, maybe someone should play forward or in the front, such as in the enemy team's goal, and one person should be playing in the mid or back. When you're playing up front, here are some things to keep in mind. Be ready for a scoring opportunity when one arises, so if you ever see a good pass or if there's a shot on goal, you take it. This is a big reason why you play up, so that you always have someone ready to capitalize or at least apply pressure to the other team's goalie. You want the enemy goalie to work and force them to actually play goalie, because I'm sure, as some of you guys have experienced, quite a lot of goalies aren't very good at playing goalie. If they happen to be one of those goalies who isn't quite up to par for the level you're at, then congrats, you hopefully have a free win. Otherwise, you can at least know you aren't dealing with a complete potato as long as you're pressuring them. Sorry to all my potato kin out there. Hopefully you didn't take this insult too hard. Next, I want you guys to contest orbs when possible. This includes swinging by mid if you can get away with it, but you can also swipe orbs away from the enemy goalie. Just make sure you don't accidentally get knocked out while doing so. Denying the goalie orbs is very useful, as it not only denies them the orb bonus, but also experience, which means that they won't have as much stats later on in the game. Achieving this is critical because it makes the last major role much easier, and that is bullying the enemy goalie. We recently just made a video that details the power of bullying the enemy goalie. If you're interested, the link to the video will be in the description. We truly can't emphasize how much impact you have when you beat up on the enemy goalie. Outside of the sheer fact that killing the enemy goalie makes scoring goals infinitely easier, you can also just cause chaos and make the 2 enemy forwards feel compelled to help their poor goalie, giving your team a 2v1 on the rest of the map. In fact, having an enemy forward help their crying goalie is exactly what you want. When the enemy begins to devote more resources dealing with you, it takes the pressure off your goalie and puts more on the enemy team because the core will likely be spending a lot more time on their side of the court than yours. This means your other forward will be able to play more offensively. Speaking of the other forward, let's talk about them. But before we get into that, if you guys have found this video helpful so far, go ahead and hit the like button down below, as that helps us push this video to more viewers. And also, if you want to discuss more Omega Strikers, go ahead and join the OSN Discord. I'll leave a link down in the description below. The other forward in the meta is referred to as mid. As a mid, you're going to be drifting back and forth between both sides of the court. You are not only tasked with trying to score goals like your fellow forward in the front, but you also bear a more varied list of responsibilities. First, let's look at setting up scoring opportunities. As a mid, you're going to sometimes feel more like a point guard. You're going to be touching the core more than your front guy, so naturally it'll be your job to clear the core to the enemy side of the field. This could be in the form of a pass or just simply getting the core out of your side so your front can try to make something happen, and the enemy forwards will have to reposition because of that. Once this happens, enemy forwards aren't the only ones that will need to reposition. Next, you should be ready to go on the offensive. When you clear, you should walk up to assist your front and be ready for a rebound shot. Be smart about it though. Overcommitting at an inopportune time, and your goalie may have to deal with a potential 2v1. After that, you also have to make sure you are a safety net for your goalie. When necessary, you should be able to offer support to your goalie when the enemy forwards are trying to make a scoring play. It could be as simple as just clearing the core before it gets dicey, or it could entail more like giving your goalie a speed boost to help them make a save they otherwise wouldn't have been able to make, or just straight up killing or harassing one of the enemy forwards if the opportunity presents itself. You are also likely the first in line to play goalie if your goalie goes down, so be ready to take over the net until they respawn. Sometimes whenever I'm playing a mid like Juno, I like to think about it as if I'm playing goalie, but I'm trying to block the core from entering my side of the map. Lastly, let's talk about the back, or in simpler terms, the goalie. Just don't let the core into your goal, right? Seriously though, there are a couple things that you can do as a goalie to help besides just being the goalie. The first is know when to walk up. I'm not saying to go be a third forward, but if you do notice the goal gates are completely shut at the start of a round, you can be a little more aggressive. You could walk up and clear the core for a few seconds, and then retreat back once the gates are open. That way you help your forwards get a good start in the round, and you're less likely to have to deal with a situation with a ton of early pressure from their forwards. This also applies when you're in a 3v2 or 3v1 situation. All in all, keep the core on the enemy team's side, but always remember, you're the goalie. Next, a good goalie should always look to pass to his teammates or away from enemy forwards when they can. This isn't tennis. The more opportunity you give the enemy forwards, the higher likelihood they will score. This never accomplishes anything, but this is especially true if you're the goalie. Hopefully, this gave everyone some insight and play in said positions. Just know that sometimes you may have to do something out of the ordinary for your given role. Nothing in this game is super rigid to the point that you can't try to make a big play that is not your job from time to time. That's going to be it from us today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video on positioning, and we'll see you all in our next video. If you want to learn more about what it takes to be a good forward or goalie, check out these two videos where we go over the most common mistakes beginner goalies and beginner forwards both make.